Evening, Gabe. How are you doing?
Well, hello there, Ian. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And good to see all of you joining us. Welcome to Blank as a Fart. I'm Gabe. That's Ian,
Indeed.
wherever he is on your screen. And we're here to watch Twin Peaks. And man, we are in the doldrums right now, folks. The real doldrums. This is widely considered the worst episode of the entire series. It does bear the lowest rating on IMDb. And here we are to talk about it.
Masters and slaves?
Slaves and Masters.
Slaves and Masters? Yes, Slaves and Masters.
Pretty apt title for this one, I'd have to say.
Directed by Diane Keaton. It's like I was really waiting for this Diane Keaton episode. It finally crosses my brow, and holy shit, is it awful. It is just so.
Her career did not take off, folks.
It is just so what the fuck, and it's.
I mean, she was really just kind of given a blank canvas to work with, but we'll get into that post show.
It just goes on. I feel like it's like 47 minutes long, and I just felt like, man, this episode just keeps going. I just felt like.
I will concur that it definitely earns its rating. This is the one that was bad enough to get the show put on hiatus for a few weeks. A letter writing campaign brought it back.
Has there ever been an interview anywhere with Diane Keaton about this episode? Have we ever seen any kind of comment or?
I didn't run across it. Not the full interview itself, just some bits and pieces. Little anecdotes here and there.
Man, I would love to talk about this episode with her. That'd be a fun conversation, I think. Well, I would think it'd be fun, but I don't know if she would think it would be fun.
Yeah, like if you get into the meat and bones of it, like this was her second episode of drama TV. And like the only film she'd done before this was a documentary. So this is baby directing right here. You know, This was an opportunity that was handed to her because of her name, not because of her talent.
There is some things I will point out that I did notice that, like, well, that's kind of interesting, but kind of also dumb.
There are some choices that I enjoyed a little bit, but it does feel like she went to the well a few too many times in certain respects, and we've got notes on that. But yeah, it's an important piece of the puzzle for sure.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's get to it then. Huh?
Yeah, I'm just going to dive right in. Season 2, Episode 15, Slaves and Masters. The opening scene is just a lot of close-ups on a lot of really big chess pieces. No plot progression over the supplemental opening credits here this week. We finally come to rest on the Queen, scrolling slowly up the length of the piece from the bottom, where we get a flash of the full-sized piece, till we get to the crown at the top. Yeah, what the hell is this about?
Chess.
I mean, we know there's chess involved, but what purpose does this serve as an establishing, like... I mean, I guess this isn't a whole lot different than, like, just panning down the river while those credits roll.
Well, I think it's kind of.
But it's just it's random pieces. Like there's no association with the game.
Well, no, I think she's trying to tie it into because it dissolves into the what's her name character,
Evelyn,
and it pans up her, and I think there's a little bit of the trying to make that also. Like a parallel to the Wyndham Earl chess stuff. So they're trying to... I think like there's a chess game going on within that Evelyn, James, Malcolm thing.
Chess is the word. It's got groove. It's got meaning.
There you go. Anyway, whatever. Like I said last week, I hate chess being used as a metaphor in films.
Well, it's not even really a metaphor here. It's just imagery.
Imagery, but it is still a metaphor.
Yeah, everything's complicated. Segue to the next scene where we see the camera panning up the set of Black High Heels following up a pair of legs with rose-patterned fishnet stockings.
I mean, I think you just said it there, right there. I mean, it's the Black Queen. It's not the White Queen. It's the Black Queen. So then it cuts to Evelyn. She's all dressed in black. I think that's part of that.
Yeah, and she's been scheming a lot lately, hasn't she?
I mean, we find out the whole scheme in this episode. So I think that's part of this.
We do. Dressed for mourning. Black dress, and finally Evelyn's face underneath a black hat and veil. Dressed for mourning, she's staring blankly off into space as in the background we hear Malcolm being interviewed by the local authorities. All he's able to come up with is, Jim. But Evelyn helpfully offers full tales about James's name and how he came into her employ, though her story varies slightly from the actual truth. The state trooper struggles to spell Jaguar, then departs to check for James at Hideout Willie's. I mean, he wouldn't be dumb enough to go right back there, would he? Malcolm gets all creepy and grabby with Evelyn. She doesn't seem real into it. She just seems done with the whole thing and wants it to be over with. As she heads up the stairs, we get her close-up superimposed over the shot for the first time this episode, before we dissolve to Hideout Willie's.
Okay, hold on a second. So the officers, there's one, but then all of a sudden there's three. And they all kind of march. And I put March of the Pigs.
I forgot about that. I forgot about those two.
Those
get drowned out by the bus drivers in the next scene.
The March of the Pigs. That's what I like. That's the first reference right there for Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Who weren't around.
Oh, you have several this episode.
Anyway.
First implies first of many, Ian. I better see more Nine Inch Nails references.
Listen, this is what? 91? So Downward Spiral isn't even out yet, so.
No, barely a twinkle in his eye. Hell, I don't think Broken is out at this point.
No, because that's 92. I mean, they're probably working on Broken, but.
Regardless. Where are we? I lost it.
We're at the bar.
Resolve the Hideout Willie's. On the interior, we scroll past a row of identically dressed bus drivers, smoking cigars of identical length, staring in the same direction. What's the point? Who knows? But what I can tell you is that James appears to be getting dumber by the minute, as he and Donna did indeed just head straight back to Hideout Willie's, where James basically spills the whole story in front of the creepy bartender, who leans in uncomfortably close and addresses Donna by name.
Okay, okay. So yeah, how does he know her name?
She was there the last time.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I don't remember him. I don't remember an interaction where she said,
where she would have given her name.
Miss Hayward. Would you like? It's like. It just seems weird. Seemed weird to me.
I mean, the whole thing seems weird. Like, why is James still talking when this guy is 6 inches from his face?
Right.
It's just, it boggles the mind.
The other thing that is wild in this Hideout Roadhouse bar is the fucking opera music being played in the background. It's like, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah. I mean, initially I thought that's what all the bus drivers were looking at, was this on a TV or something. But there's no source for the music. There's no television in that expected spot at the bar.
Just a choice. Someone just made a choice.
Just someone having fun in that director's chair trying to be weird.
At our expense.
But it is odd that this sort of imagery is what's most strongly associated with Twin Peaks. I mean, I don't know if you would call this sort of thing Lynchian.
I think obviously she's trying to be Lynchian here, like with all this kind of...
I would say she finds him inspirational in his work, but, sometimes we wear our inspirations on our sleeves and it works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Do we know how she got the job? Like, did Lynch say, hey, you should come direct this? Or, like, do we know any of that?
I don't think it was his idea, but it did have his blessing.
I see.
I think it might have been partly the network's idea to rope in new viewers. Yeah,
interesting.
I didn't do a real deep amount of research on that, and I kind of feel bad about that. So, I'll leave you to make some discoveries on your own there if you want to share them next week.
Not going to.
Not going to. Not worth it.
I guess I could look it up right now.
You could. I'm not going to be doing anything but reading stuff you already know. Donna wants to call Ed for help, but James, fucking genius that he is, decides the best course of action is to try and talk to Evelyn and see if he can convince her to be honest with the police. Interesting timing for the bartender to pop his head in and say, "You're sure?" Literally the second after he finishes that sentence, before Donna just gently shoos him away again. She'd listen to me. I know she would, James insists, as I slam my fist repeatedly into my forehead to try and make myself dumb enough to understand why he would think that. I think Donna is starting to feel the same way since she poses to him that same question, and he's unable to answer it. Off she goes to call Ed, leaving James to fiddle nervously with a cocktail umbrella. Donna is forced to disguise the conversation mid-sentence as the state trooper arrives and gets real up close and personal to say hello with the tip of a hat. People really not respecting Donna's personal space here at this bar.
No.
He passes behind James, whose response is to duck his head and then flee. The trooper then greets the bus drivers at the head of the bar, who simultaneously turn their heads and respond in unison, "Hi, Frank." Think that was in the script?
I don't know. It was dumb.
It was a choice.
It's interesting too because that kind of stuff kind of disappears like in the last half of the there's all this like that kind of shit at the beginning of this, but like it kind of I mean the whole episode is weird and wonky.
The story itself isn't quirky, the background is. But when the story itself is quirky, it's like she immerses us in the setting in a very serious setting. And I think that's intentional. I think that kind of flip-flop is, I mean, it's an amateurish approach, but I bet it was pretty novel for TV 32 years ago.
I mean, I don't really find it out of character for this.
No.
Like, this whole show has been like, if you gave a high school kid a camera and you made a movie, yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of guys dressed up as the bus drivers at a bar. That sounds like a fucking high school idea. Like, you know what I mean? Or like, all the cops are gonna march off like toy soldiers. I don't know. It's just, sure, why not? That's just, it's just one of those like dumb ideas. Someone's like, oh, we should do this. I was like, oh, let's do it. And they shoot it, and it's like, oh,
it's background noise. It serves no purpose. Sound and fury signifying nothing. Now we move to the conference room at the sheriff's station. Or no, actually, before I move on, I do want to continue to talk about how dumb James is.
Oh, okay.
Because I even in my most ridiculous teenage moments, like I can't understand what could possibly motivate him to think, oh, I just need to talk to Evelyn. We'll sort this all out.
You want that good pussy. You want that sweet.
I guess Donna's not good.
Not good enough.
She doesn't know the tricks that a 35-year-old alcoholic smoker former model could teach you. Huh?
She can do things you wouldn't believe. You're talking.
Yeah, I mean, is this? Yeah. We're looking at an age gap no different than Nadine and Mike here, right?
Yes, this is also true.
Yeah. So this. Listen, I think this is just all the evidence you need to understand why this is my least favorite storyline of the entire show, why I hate it, and why, after doing this podcast, I'm never going to watch it in its entirety again.
It's wild that it's also like it was the choice. That was like the best they could come up with.
Yeah.
There's no way we can like have them involved with the people in Twin Peaks. Like we need to involve them with like some like weird subplot that
send them on walkabout and introduce loathsome characters that provide no growth whatsoever.
100%.
They just make Donna and James look stupid over and over and over again, and it just it drains you of any empathy that you have grown for those characters in the wake of Laura's death. It just, it neuters Donna and James entirely, and just, I hate it. I hate every minute of it.
It's rough. It was a rough episode for sure.
It was. And there's more to come. Now we move to the conference room at the sheriff's station, where Harry and Cooper are questioning Bobby and Shelley about Leo's attack and subsequent escape. Bobby, the chameleon, has reverted to his antagonistic teenage bad boy persona, giving tremendous attitude to both Harry and Cooper, authority figures.
I was curious about the hat. Like, he generally has his head of hair where it like is like that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, just.
But today he was like, "Oh, let's put a cap on." It's like, "Oh, that's weird. Why is he
Bobby
wearing a hat?"
is pretty much a different guy in every scene we see him in this week. There's not a lot of continuity.
I actually didn't really mind him in this scene. I
mean, it's more of a throwback to how we were introduced to him. Like
but he's acting better. I feel like he's got a little bit more chops here. I feel like it was a little bit better.
Okay.
If I'm trying to be positive, trying to be positive a little bit. Like, he's not like out of his mind. He's just being kind of a rebellious teenager here. So anyway.
Yeah, not bug-eyed, not barking, just disrespectful. Disrespectful though he is being honest with his answers to their questions. He admits that he and Shelley have been together for quite a while, and he also admits that he witnessed Hank shoot Leo during the night of the fire. Harry lets Bobby and Shelley leave after promising some police protection and also telling Bobby to button it. On their way out of the door, they run into Albert, who calls out Bobby's tired rebel shtick with a hearty, "Get a life, punk!" And here we get the best scene of the week.
Is it?
It was my favorite. Maybe not necessarily the best, but it was my favorite.
I go, Albert handing out hugs? What the fuck?
Albert in a good mood is a rare spectacle, but it's a breath of fresh air.
When did he go on this character arc that I am not really a part of? Like, he just keeps, every time he comes back, he's a different person. Like, is he getting programmed by aliens? Like, he was such a fucking this one way, and now every time he comes back, he's like a little more. I'm going to sum it up in a minute.
Remember that his last words that we last saw him with were, "I love you, Sheriff Truman."
No, I get that. But even that was like, what the fuck at that point? Like, every time he comes back, he's like, it's changed. But there's no real reason for that change except the fact that he has changed. So, like, he hated Truman, then he loves Truman, and now he's physically loving Truman. It's just... But there's no real reason for it. Anyway.
It cracked me up as a kid. I loved seeing it then.
No, it cracked me up too. I was like, Jesus Christ, that was a hug. Like, I always thought Albert wasn't a very like emotional, physical guy. He's always been very, distant from Coop.
Yeah, but we also get this contrast of like Truman, who 2 weeks ago punched him in the face, gets greeted with the big bear hug. And Cooper gets the firm professional handshake and a Coop. So it's...
I mean, yeah, but then at the end of that scene, he does lighten up to it quite a bit. So,
yeah, he does get more personal with Coop toward the end. But like I said, Albert's in a good mood. We're all the richer for it.
I mean, I'm laughing at it because it's like, what the fuck?
Right? Yeah. He must have gotten laid last night.
Listen, you originally watched these episodes like when you could and months apart, and this
is one I remember seeing.
Watching them like weekly, consecutively, it just seems so like it's kind of it's what do you call that? Like disorientating. It's just like, what the fuck? Yeah. You were this way, and now you're just like that all of a sudden. It's weird.
It's an experience I've had reading comic books as well.
Oh, 100%.
You know, you miss 2 or 3 issues, you miss a lot of context.
Or like just the next issue with the writer and illustrator changes. It's like, what the fuck? This is weird. Just the whole vibe is different now, you know? Exactly.
And,
I 100%, but it's just like, wow. It's
and my biggest experience with that on the first viewing as a kid was missing that whole arc where Cooper gets suspended.
Right.
Because of Jean Renault. Like, I missed all of that up until, like, Cooper says, I've been cleared of wrongdoing, the suspension still stands.
Right.
Like, that was all I knew about that storyline. So that was very weird for me.
I guess just like looking at like current television, I guess like regardless of how the writing is and how it's acted, like just the fact that there's like continuity, like there's like this kind of like all the characters are kind of more cared for, and like we're more careful about where they go in current television. So it's like you don't, unless it's a poorly written show, for the most part shows like, oh, I believe that character would go here to here to here because I've seen that growth in that show. This show I haven't seen Albert's growth. It just happens. It just
right.
So it's just like it's that difference, you know. Maybe they did want Albert to change, but they never really gave him any time for that stuff to happen. I think it's cool that he is changing. I think that's cool. That's a fun thing for the character to do and become. But it's just like watching it like week after week. It's just like, wow, it wasn't earned in any way. It just happened, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah. He's got the hugs and the handshakes before he gets into his main job this week, which is exposition. He brings out a picture of Wyndham Earle, which looks suspiciously like a generic casting headshot for Kenneth Welsh. This one's me as
probably what it is.
I'm almost certain. You know, Southern dandy, who knows? Albert then offers a spot-on Gordon impression. I love that. Before whipping out a map of the continental U.S. There's a big letter C drawn across the southern Midwest, connected by points where Wyndham Earle has sent articles of Caroline's wedding outfit to various police stations disguised as mail bombs. Oof, that's a mouthful. After laying out photos of the clothing in dramatic fashion, Albert adds a couple of photos of the dead vagrant found in Harry's office. Apparently, Earle held on to the corpse long enough for rigor mortis to leave it so he could pose the finger to point at the chessboard.
Okay, I have a question.
Gross.
And I feel really dumb, but I don't remember this. And I was like thinking, I was looking through my notes. What happened to fucking Coop's face? I don't remember.
He got punched during the whole standoff at Dead Dog Farm or something.
That long ago?
Like you never see it happen. It's just like after they take him hostage.
But he didn't have that last show.
He did.
Did he?
He actually touches it and winces at it a couple of times.
Man, I don't remember that. I was like looking at it, I was like, I don't remember that from the last episode.
Yeah, no, you never actually see it happen on screen. But the first time you see Cooper when he's Jean Renault's hostage, you can see that his eye is blackened, and so the implication is that Renault and King beat him up while they held him hostage.
Okay. I just felt like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you don't ever actually see a lot of the violence happening on screen in the show. At least not this season. Albert then adds that the map itself was found in the very power station that Earle sabotaged to create the diversion. Everything is connected.
Oh. Is it, though?
A lot of it is.
It's not the Evelyn James part.
Oh, I just mean Wyndham Earle's plan.
Sure.
That's all connected. Cooper's clearly concerned at Earle's meticulous plan slowly coming to fruition. Albert offers comfort in the form of a compliment on Cooper's choice to embrace the native fashion style. And now we see the morning at the villain's hideout. Earle awakens Leo by playing one of his many flutes. We're seeing a much more manic side of Earle.
But not very good, though. Like, the flute syncing on this is pretty bad.
Almost as bad as the harmonica syncing we'll see later on.
And about as bad as Leo's acting as he's laying there gripping like he should leave, but he doesn't. He feels compelled to just stay there and like a dog. Huh? It's just this whole oh my god, this whole sequence
he
is
tries
wild.
to get away. Remember, his
hamstring
has been badly damaged. But yeah, Earl is dressed in dirty long johns, speaking rapidly, making random pet noises, and prancing around like Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh yeah, that's good. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I like how he brings out like Leo's like
the rap sheet,
his rap sheet out of his chest, like he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're all, from what little we saw of Earl in person, we definitely expected like a colder, more calculating type of insanity. We were looking for Hannibal Lecter, and instead we get Jim Carrey.
Kind of more like, I guess he's trying to like be different than what's his name, the previous.
Eckert?
No, the previous villain. Who was kind of that aggressive.
Leland was a little more subdued. Yeah, that's a fair comparison. After he verbally goes over Leo's rap sheet, a hobbled Leo tries very slowly to make an escape, but Earl is quick to use violence to subdue him and control him. Seems as though Earl has a purpose for Frank and Leo. I mean, naturally, any good villain needs their big dumb henchman, right?
Mm-hmm.
After a quick lecture about 13th century samurai using their flutes as cudgels, Earl straps a shock collar to Leo's neck, which he then briefly activates before force-feeding Leo some gruel.
Hold on a sec. You're gonna pass on all this righteous, like kind of. He's like stroking his flute in Leo's face, and he calls it an instrument of pleasure. It is the most blatant and aggressive sexual.
I did not pick up on that, to be honest. I mean, he's holding it like a flute.
No. You go back and watch that scene where it's like from Leo's point of view, and he's like stroking it, and he's calling it an instrument of pleasure. It is wild. It is a bizarre.
Now that you point it out, I see it for sure. And then him meowing in Leo's ear.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking weird. Anyway,
yeah,
and then he tastes the gruel.
It's
like, I made you some gruel, and it's just. I almost felt bad for Leo, except that then I remembered it's Leo, and it's like, anyway.
Yeah. Not a character you can develop a lot of sympathy for, honestly.
I have this little tirade because of this. Little tirade, little like rant, or little like kind of like, like when you're kidnapped and you're held hostage by your captor for a very long and prolonged time. That at a certain point,
Stockholm syndrome.
You kind of then start to have feelings, and you try and you rationalize what your captor is doing to you, and so in this like slave and master kind of relationship, I am kind of beginning to be, I'm experiencing that, Gabe, and in this moment, I'm sympathizing with Leo, as if I am Leo in this. And in this endeavor, Gabe is my Wyndham Earl. So you guys can do what you want with that. But I'm going to, I keep trying to find positives for this show. Because I think at this point I'm just like, that's not true. I'm not finding a lot of positives with this episode. But I was really hoping, I like the idea of the slave and master.
In particular.
Yeah, but this slave and master title, and then I was thinking about it, and you like looking at all this kind of play and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, Gabe has me held captive. He's fucking forcing me to watch this fucking show. I'm just going to be broken. There's no reason, I'm going to have to like the return, because it'll be over after that, It has nothing to anyway, that's just me playing. I thought it would be fun to kind of do this little bit of kind of, anyway.
I think that's a fun analogy. If I knew Photoshop, I'd put that one on social media.
There you go, Wyndham Earl. You may continue. Feed me my gruel.
Feed you your gruel. Let's spoon feed you a tight close-up on Ed. His head rests on a pillow as he reminisces about the 20 years of unrequited love since graduation. Ouch. That means that me and Ian are approximately 6 or 7 years older? No, about 8 or 9 years older at this point than Ed is supposed to be.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're old.
Ed and Norma are not yet in their 40s, if we go by this timeline.
And they might not be on this show, though. I mean,
Probably not.
Maybe late 30s for sure, but I don't.
I think Peggy Lipton was probably early 40s because we know she had. Okay. Well, we know she had a career in her 20s and the early 70s.
Oh, well, she looks good. Jesus.
Fuck yeah, she does. Fuck yeah. Anyway, the camera pans over to Norma, looking good, on the pillow next to him, talking about how she drowned her sorrows in her workaholism. Each pan back and forth between the couple is accompanied by a quick kiss. Apparently, their shared misery in not being together even put their Christmases on hold. Norma talks about a bolo tie that she bought Ed just last year, but she was afraid to give it to him. However, all their regrets are in the past now. They have only the future to look forward to. Kiss, kiss, smooch, smooch. Their potential second round of coitus is interrupted by the arrival of Nadine, who promptly joins them in the bedroom and subsequently the bed, unintentionally tearing the door off the hinges in the process. Nadine laments her second-place finish at the wrestling tournament, being disqualified in the final because the airplane slam is illegal. She then offers Norma an awkward apology for beating the living shit out of Hank. Nadine gets up to leave and offers Ed and Norma her blessing for them to continue their relationship. She seems pretty intent on pursuing something with Mike, which she describes as getting serious.
I don't really have anything to offer to this scene. It's a bizarre scene. It's an interesting way for this to play out.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I like the first part.
Yeah, it's fine.
I like the back and forth between Ed and Norma. I think that does a good job of building their relationship.
Or reestablishing their relationship, really. I mean, because they've they've been kind of out of it for a while.
It adds some breadth to it.
Right.
But I like the artistry, the way it's presented too. I think it's a moment of deep intimacy, and we're in a position where we feel like we're a part of it, where we're actually kind of sharing it. So, yeah, it puts you in the moment right there. I think she does a good job of that.
And then, I don't know, Nadine is Nadine, and then Nadine trying to, make Ed feel jealous because of Mike. And yet I think he's more like, Mike, you pedo. I don't know. But it's just, wild.
I don't know.
I'm actually curious. Does this plot actually wrap up? Does Nadine come full circle? Does this really wrap up, or is this just left hanging?
Best if I don't answer that.
Oh, okay. Best if I don't answer it. All right.
Well, I mean,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
There's a lot of ways to interpret that question. Mm-hmm. Quick exterior of the wind in the trees before we dissolve to Josie fidgeting anxiously at the table as Harry and Cooper interrogate her on any knowledge she might have about Jonathan's murder. Cooper excuses himself to get another cup of coffee from the kitchen, which he finds in front of an open cabinet filled with dozens of bottles of ketchup and several large cans of Popeye brand spinach. Pete enters with an armload of dry cleaning that he picked up to help Josie out. He's not a big fan of how hard Catherine's been working her in this whole maid thing. Some odd framing choices here as we see this conversation taking place from behind a swinging door with some glass panes set in it.
This is an interesting choice, and obviously someone or he is kicking the door open, keeps kicking the door open to make it look like it's keeps flying open. And I'm
I didn't notice that, but
yeah. So while they're sitting there talking to each other, there's the door with Coop. Yeah. It's closed, and you kind of see Coop's face, and then the other door with what's his name, Pete. It just keeps opening.
Yeah,
and it keeps revealing. It keeps revealing them, and it's just like, what an interesting choice. Because I get it's kind of a comical scene, but it's just like weird.
I mean, you can see Cooper's face, but you never really see Pete's face because it's buried under the dry cleaning.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very it's I'm neutral about my feelings for that. I'm like, it's interesting, but yeah, again, I'm wondering what exactly the point of it is.
It's being played for comedy. They're just trying to have fun.
Yeah, I suppose. Make it quirky. Pete passes off the armload of laundry to Cooper so he can answer the phone. Cooper struggles with it for a moment and then sets it down when an article on the very top of the pile seems to catch his attention. Pulling out a pair of tweezers, he takes a fiber from the coat and places it in an evidence bag, also snagging a pair of gloves that are packaged with it. Here's a plot line we dropped a long time ago.
Yeah, I was like,
what are you making of that?
I was like,
well, I mean, I know you know what to make of it now, but
yeah, what is going on here?
It didn't cross your mind in the beginning what he was thinking about?
No, I was like, what is this about?
Because yeah, when was the last time it came up? It's been 12, maybe 13 episodes since we've mentioned this plot line. Since we stopped asking the question, who shot Agent Cooper?
Is that what this is about?
Did you not gather that from the second conversation with Albert?
So here's my problem with this. Yeah, but we're not at that point yet. But what I'm saying is like,
right.
What is Coop investigating then, really? Is he investigating... He's supposed to be investigating...
He's there asking about Jonathan's death. What he's really there for is he's backing up Harry.
Right. But now he's But now this is all about the guy who supposedly shot him. Are we supposed to start believing that the Asian guy is the guy who shot him? Is that what this is?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think all we're seeing is Cooper's detective mind at work. You know, he just runs into like, that coat looks familiar. There's a pair of gloves going with that coat.
Okay.
Is that coat Vicuna?
Some of this stuff is like, at this point it's kind of going over my head because like, you're right. I don't remember. I remember Coop getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like they just dropped it after that. So
no, like, Albert collected some evidence.
Way back then.
They found. Yeah, a long time ago. Now imagine that they'd done a 3-week hiatus in between that. I mean, admittedly, we probably took a total of 3 weeks off during the run from there to here.
But still,
so time frame wise, it's this plot thread has been long dropped, and in this particular scene, I don't think anyone is really expected to pick up exactly what Cooper is laying down.
Yeah, so I wasn't like really thinking like I was like, why is he so concerned with this? But I totally forgot. Like I was like, I've kind of been like,
yeah, I think
I don't know. I was not thinking that.
And I'm not sure why that they didn't drop more breadcrumbs between then and now. I guess, it was more important to have James getting framed for murder.
Clearly.
Yeah. But anyway, the phone call is for Josie. It's Thomas Eckhart. He's letting her know that he's in town and he wants to get together. He also offers his condolences for the loss of poor Jonathan. Wonder if he might have had something to do with that? Or if he knows who did? Catherine is listening in on another line. Ooh, there's an ancient plot device right there. She clearly sees this as an opportunity for her. As Eckhart hangs up, he expresses his disappointment in Josie's choices to his assistant, and then the two converse further about the situation in Afrikaans. Yeah, I had to look that one up too. even in the subtitles, like I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, that's
this whole sequence, like all this stuff, I just kind of like didn't write any notes. I was so kind of like just staring at it, kind of like.
So
I think I tuned out, kind of. I mean, I remember Catherine listening in, but I just kind of was staring at it, being like,
just.
I don't know if I was actually like I was watching it. I remember
your spirit had left your body at this point.
Like I was just kind of like
I could see myself in the chair staring at the screen
because like I wasn't doing anything. It's not like I wasn't writing notes. I wasn't on my phone. I was just sitting there with my beer watching it.
Yeah,
and so, nothing came. And I was just like, "What? I don't know."
It's
what accent does he? What accent does Eckhart have?
I'm about to get into that
because it seemed like it was Australian for a second, and then it wasn't anything, and then when you see him later, it's just anyway. It's all over the place.
So the language they converse in, Afrikaans, is one of the languages spoken in South Africa.
Okay.
It's a South African accent.
Okay.
So I'm getting ahead of that. They do establish later on in the series that Eckhart and his assistant are South African.
Okay.
And it threw me for a loop at first because, like, I knowing that David Warner is straight British, and hearing the pronunciation of "together," which, like you said, leaned more toward the Australian.
So I guess this would be the dialect that we hear in, like, say, a movie of, like, what, District 13 or whatever.
District 9, yeah.
District 9, I mean, yeah. Why did I say 13? I don't know. District 9, where they're they're down there in what is that place called? Anyway.
Yeah, the slums.
The slums of Africa, South Africa.
Or a Dave Matthews interview.
Okay. I've never listened. I've actually never listened to Dave Matthews talk, so I don't know what he sounds like.
Yeah, he is also South African. Oh. But in case you were wondering, the two sentences that they exchange in Afrikaans translate to, she's become predictable. That's Eckhart referring to Josie.
Okay.
And his assistant's reply is, I warned you not to trust her. But that's a loose, from what I've read, that's a loose interpretation. It's actually more of a colloquialism for something like, I warned you not to get entangled with that bitch, would be a more vulgar interpretation of it.
Okay.
But it's like a colloquialism to that effect.
Got you.
But involving, like, it's a literally translated, it involves the verb marry, but it's being used in a sense of, like, attaching yourself, not necessarily a like actual marriage. So back at General Lee's headquarters, or rather the lobby of the Great Northern, Ben Horne is astride a stuffed mule, regaling Dr. Jacoby with tales of the Civil War. Oh, Lord. Hey, look, a Johnny Horne sighting, though.
I hate Jacoby, dude. I know I've already said it before, but man, I just can't stand it when this guy's on. I just don't.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't serve much purpose here. Nobody serves much purpose here. I mean, like, this whole storyline is like, what the fuck is the point anymore?
Here's one thing that's interesting. They do wrap up a lot of this garbage in this episode.
They do. Yeah, we do end up moving on from some stuff, which, hopefully they got the message. But yeah, we'll get into that later. As Audrey, Jacoby, and Jerry discuss what's to be done with this General Lee, Jerry pulls aside Audrey to imply that maybe there could be more opportunities for the both of them, with Ben remaining in his current incapacitated state.
So first of all, when Jacoby is talking to Ben and then he walks over to Audrey and where Jerry is too, he like hugs Audrey, like they're like, oh, hugs. It's like and then they're talking, and then even Jerry kind of puts his arm around Audrey and hugs. It's like all these hugs going on. It's like, this is a love episode. It's like, wasn't Jacoby like kind of the bad guy? Maybe Audrey wasn't a part of that part, but like it just seems like it's just kind of funny. And then that whole part where Audrey goes outside to talk with Jerry, a little awkward because it's a little flirty.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Little Game of Thronesy.
puts the pipe in her mouth and then puts it back in his mouth. I was just like, what the fuck?
And
What's going
her
on?
chin.
And he kind of puts it's just like fucking weird. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Now, I'll posit a theory in Audrey's defense as to why she might be affectionate with Jacoby. We've established that Audrey harbors an affection for people who are kind to Johnny. And we do know that Jacoby has taken over Johnny's care.
And we see him after... When's the last time we fucking saw him?
Probably the last time we mentioned the fact that Cooper got shot.
Not probably before that. It's like,
maybe.
Hey, dude, could you come in this episode? Just sit here and do nothing in your racist attire? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, you know.
This show's wild sometimes.
It is. It really is. And this is, it's a prime example of some of the best and some of the worst of it in this episode. It really is. Audrey shuts down Jerry's talk pretty quick, pointing out that if Ben does become completely incapacitated, she assumes total control of all assets, and she's not willing to play nice with Uncle Jerry. Scummy, but not necessarily stupid, Jerry quickly decides to back Audrey's play and bring Ben back to his proper self. Jacoby suggests that the best way to accomplish this is the Appomattox scenario. Bobby shows up in Confederate uniform as the world's worst bugler, while Ben Horne gives another Ken Burns speech to assembled Great Northern staff who have marching drums in hand. We get another rousing rendition of Dixie, this one accompanied by Johnny's mournful hoots. Speaking of hoots, look at that ceramic owl perched on the bar at Hideout Willie's. Like that segue there? That's a good one, right? Right? Good pun.
There's a bunch of owls in this one.
There, a lot of owl motifs. Which we see a little bit in previous episodes, but this is more of the Diane Keaton thing that we'll get into later. Evelyn is there. She's drunk off her ass. It appears to be after hours as the chairs are turned up on top of the tables. Does she own the place, or is she just fucking the bartender too? Or maybe she just tips really well. But also, they may not be that closed, as Donna manages to find her way in pretty easily. She tries to heroically intimidate Evelyn into doing the right thing. Glib and dismissive, Evelyn is too busy wallowing in drunken self-pity to care about anybody else's lives. Their conversation ends abruptly as a leather-clad Malcolm shows up to usher Evelyn away, pausing just long enough to threaten to murder Donna if she keeps poking her nose in their business.
Not only that, though, but then he leaves, and then she screams at him, and it's all like melodramatic, and it's just like...
Yeah, it's just a completely powerless, impotent scream.
So stupid. Don't hurt him, or something. It's just like... Really? Ugh.
Yeah. Poor Lara Flynn Boyle. She did not get a lot of good material to work with in season 2.
None of the girls did.
No. Well, maybe some, but we haven't gotten to them yet. Spoiler alert.
No, okay.
I will say that the actress who plays Evelyn, her name escapes me right now, I'm ashamed to say, but she's believably acting drunk in this scene.
This is like her best. This episode is like her best work.
It is. I mean, it's probably the most she's on screen in a single episode, too. But I think this is her most believable scene right here. This seems like her true self shining through, thanks to that, the truth serum that she's been drinking all day.
Okay. I mean,
so yeah,
it was fine.
I think I agree with you that this is. I mean, it's not a high bar to clear, admittedly, but
I actually like the scene. We'll see it later, but that scene with her and James before Malcolm enters, like just the two of them. I think she does a pretty good job in that scene until then once Malcolm enters, it becomes very, because it's very like what you would think it would be. It is very much that kind of scene, and she does it well. I think
it's a femme fatale speech, like cribbed from the Cliff Notes.
Sure.
But yeah, we're not there yet. We'll get there later. Where we're at is Coop and Albert in the conference room going over the results of the items of Josie's that Cooper had given him to test. Albert confirms that the coat fibers match the ones found in the carpet outside of Cooper's room on the night of the shooting. Powder burn tests on the gloves are pending, but will be complete in the morning. He also confirms that Seattle police are looking for a woman matching Josie's description in connection with Jonathan's murder. He also postulates that the slugs found in Jonathan's head will match the ones found in Cooper's bulletproof vest. The evidence does not look favorable for Josie, but Cooper is hoping against hope that some piece of evidence will turn up to exonerate her before he has to bring all of this to Harry's attention. And speaking of Harry, he's tossing darts at the board in his office.
Well, doesn't Albert say something like he likes Harry and there's this kind of another...
He's rooting for him.
He's rooting for him. There's like another moment of love towards Harry.
Yeah. He says something about the big lug having his heart in the right place, and he doesn't enjoy seeing him hurt. But the blunt way...
No, I think I think it's something like he has a good heart, but it's in the wrong place.
No.
It's something like that.
The big lug's heart is in the right place, if nothing else, I think is the exact line.
I felt like it was in the wrong place, but all right. Because, like, his love is in the wrong place because she's probably bad.
That does make more sense for the context of the story, but I'm pretty sure.
All right. Go watch it again, Gabe.
I bet you that quote's in IMDb. Most of the Albert ones are. When Cooper approaches him, Harry offers some new info on their John Doe from the chessboard, a transient by the name of Eric Powell. Another one of Earl's games, as Powell was Caroline's maiden name. Coop then confirms Harry's suspicion that whenever Wyndham takes a piece from the board, someone will die at his hand. And reminder, Cooper has never won a game of chess against Earl. But Harry points out that they may have a secret weapon, as Twin Peaks is home to a renowned chess expert.
Of course it is. Let's write that in really quick.
Why not?
Cut to diner.
Surprise, surprise. Let's give Pete something to do, huh? He demonstrates his prowess by defeating Toad, Cooper, and Doc Hayward in 3 simultaneous games over cherry pie and coffee at the Double R. Man, Harry is so impressed by this, isn't he? Like that close-up of him laughing his ass off with Pete. It put a smile on my face.
I've known a lot of chess geniuses or people that played chess really well.
Mm-hmm.
They never act like Pete. They're not like Pete.
They don't.
They're not a Pete.
Yeah. He seems to be a bit of a savant in this field.
Anyway, go ahead, Twin Peaks. Do what you want.
Go ahead. I suppose it could have been Major Briggs, but he's hiding in the shadows, remember?
Yep.
Coop gets right to the point in requesting Pete's help and coming up with a strategy that results in a stalemate game with no further pieces being lost. Meanwhile, Norma lugs a gigantic decorative ice cream cone in the background. As she's behind the counter cleaning it up for display, Shelley lets herself in and respectfully asks for her job back.
Yay, a Shelley and Norma scene.
Yeah,
ooh, it's been so long.
It has. Those two are really good together. It's fun to see them. Norma is all too happy to oblige and welcomes Shelley back with a big hug. The moment is brief, however, as Harry does need to borrow Norma for a minute to fill her in on the Hank situation. In another conversation filmed through a square window of a door.
This one's better, though. I like this one. But it's like similar to the door thing. They have to get
unnecessarily close to each other to both be in the shot.
I know, it's interesting. It's bizarre a little bit. But it's like, it's tension.
I mean, I'm sure they've known each other since high school, too.
It's creating tension and drama.
Yeah. But yeah, Harry tells Norma that Hank will be released from the hospital soon, but she needn't worry, as he's going to be going back to jail for a long time due to parole violations and attempted murder, even if it was just Leo. Norma's only response is a succinct, good.
Good.
The half moon hovers watchfully over the trees as Josie answers the door at the Blue Pine Lodge. It's Thomas Eckhart! I think she's supposed to look afraid here, but she doesn't quite pull it off.
She just looks like
apparently,
herself.
She just looks like,
resting bitch face. Always.
Yeah, just like, That's exactly the sound I hear in my head when I look at that face. Like, and it's weird because she has looked afraid before in this show. Like, she's looked genuinely scared in a couple of scenes, and she does it again later. Spoiler alert. But right here is just, this episode is some of the worst acting from Joan Chen. I mean, like, all of her acting when Josie is, like, tending to be in trouble is just repellent to me. But this week is especially bad. Yeah. Blah. Apparently, Catherine has invited Thomas for dinner once she learned he was in her neck of the woods. It's only the polite thing to do for your brother's former business partner, after all, right? Really, what it is, though, is it's just an excuse to barter Josie-like property right in front of her face while she serves them appetizers. Eckhart basically confirms that the reason he plotted to have Andrew murdered was because he was mad about him stealing Josie away. I am really starting to think that this show is just about dumb men doing bad things because of their lust for bad women.
What?
You do have to feel for Josie just a little bit, though, as they continue to dehumanize her by comparing her to a house pet before they agree to negotiate on her value. It's gross. It goes a long way to reestablishing Catherine as a villain when you were rooting for her for a little while.
I find this scene interesting in a different way. This kind of idea that they're this like fronting of wealth, like Catherine and Eckhart are these wealthy people, and they're all dressed up, and he's wearing this tux, and she's wearing her kind of gown, and they're having her maids. But the setting of this shitty lodge that you spent $60 that you and I went to with our family one weekend, and like there were rats and shit. Like it's this really weird juxtaposition of two different things that don't fit together that I find it just like I watch it and like I don't believe this. This just looks like you're fake people. It just seems so fake and garbagey and dumb. I'm looking at the little drape blinds behind them and the shitty. It's just like, well, and are you wealthy or are you like? Are they supposed
the back door?
Are they supposed to be millionaires? I don't know. Are they supposed to be wealthy people? Because like I think I have more money than them right now. I don't. It's fucking wild.
Well, you have more money than the production for sure.
It's just a funny. Even
this is clearly a scene that was written to take place in a formal dining room with Josie greeting him at a big foyer.
But it's not.
But no,
it's like a breakfast nook
into the kitchen. Where they sit down at like, they're eating 2 feet away from the kitchen sink, and that's just
it's wild.
Is not an appropriate setting.
And the whole show has kind of been like that, like this kind of fronting of wealth and the idea that they have it, but it just seems like is David Lynch making is like his? Did he want to make us Pacific Northwest people like we're like paupers or something? Like we're just like shady like. Woodland people that live in I don't know. It's just kind of a weird. Tonight it just really hit me like these guys are not rich or wealthy, and why do we give a shit?
They are, but here's the thing. Now we do have to remember that the pilot was all filmed on location. Like they actually got to film in a lodge that had several large rooms. That gave a much better impression of the actual wealth of the Packard family.
But even then, it wasn't that. It wasn't. It's not like Timberline. It's still like a sad log cabin. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's still like. It's just sad. It's a very sad.
I don't think you should take that as a reflection on the characters as much as a reflection on the shitty production value.
I mean, his tux is like what tux are you? Is this your best tux? Because I think you're wearing the New Year's Eve tux with the weird vest and weird bow ties. Like you're like going to a New Year's Eve party. Like, did they rent that at Bob's 99-cent tuxedo rentals. Like, it was just,
Dude,
everything looked so cheap
it was
and
the
weird.
early 90s.
I know. It's sad. I just felt this really shit. I'm just like watching this.
No,
Like,
I
this
agree
is the
that
best you guys
tracks,
got?
yeah, and it was. I mean, it was all they had the money for.
I guess.
Like I said, I'm sure in the script, this is like at a big formal dining room table where they're like 10 feet apart. But that's not how they shot it.
And anyway, the pig head.
Yeah, and then the big old boar's head was the main course. More pig imagery. Anyway, Jesus Christ, enough of Evelyn already. I'm not going to feel sorry for her. Don't care, don't care, don't care.
I wrote this sad whore.
Yeah, just continuing to drunkenly wallow, blowing smoke rings and going over old glamour magazines before James the Genius lets himself in with a blunt, "Why'd you do it?" He plays tough and backs Evelyn down onto the couch where she unapologetically admits that she was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
I was hoping they were going to get some fucking in, but they didn't.
Well, he clearly wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Through it all, she confesses that she did actually like him for, quote, the good and honest way that he tastes. Barf, puke, vomit. The dumbest man on the planet replies, haha, I like how you taste too, haha, and then makes out with the woman who just fucking framed him for murder.
Classic Lynch.
Jesus Christ.
Classic Lynch, really.
Seriously.
Classic Lynch. I mean, really. It is.
Fucking nitwit. Evelyn seems surprised for some reason. I am unreasonably angry just reading the recap of this. Evelyn seems surprised for some reason while Malcolm clubs James over the head with the butt of his gun and knocks him out. Then he starts laying out the groundwork for their next premeditated murder. Our point of view moves through the weeds of the South until we come to rest on Audrey, wearing a delightful Southern Belle outfit. Through her looking glasses, she spies the approach of General Lee to the Appomattox courthouse. Audrey and Jerry briefly play the roles of a Southern debutante and her well-to-do father greeting the General's arrival, before we get more terrible bugling from Bobby, and Jacoby makes his entrance dressed as General Grant.
And it's at this moment I write, this show is a mess.
Worst episode ever.
Anyway.
Grant is ready to offer his unconditional surrender, but Lee prefers to further pontificate and give us another 5-minute Ken Burns speech before we can finally put this god-awful storyline to rest and substitute it with a worse one.
Oh, really?
Immediately upon signing the articles, Lee stumbles and collapses unconscious, but awakens once again as Ben Horne. Dumb little Wizard of Oz. I've lost the word. Tribute, I guess. As Ben Horne wonders why everybody is dressed in Civil War outfits. Seriously, what's the gag?
Attaboy, Ben. Attaboy.
Attaboy, Ben. Fucking hell, man. I got nothing good to say about that scene.
No, nor do I.
Other than Audrey looked great. Meanwhile, Wyndham Earl is applying a disguise and a badly cracked mirror while also punishing Leo for his bad penmanship. Yeah, it looks like something my grandpa used to wear in community theater.
This is wild. I mean, this is just, I just picture, Gabe tasing me to watch Twin Peaks. That's all, to further hit home what's going on here.
Yeah,
I also wrote, I feel like there was like an end and then something happened and then there was like an end and then something happened. It's like, this episode feels like it just keeps going. It's not going to end.
We got a real Return of the King thing going on here.
Anyway.
Eventually he does reward Leo with a treat for his improvement and gives him a big old kiss when Leo finally learns how to speak Wyndham's name. Aww. Apparently, Leo's task is helping to create clues for the chess game. We see pictures of Audrey, Shelley, and Donna as Earl ponders which one should be the queen. Pretty words for pretty girls.
And there's another point where the paper kind of slowly falls to the ground. It's like, okay, credits. Nope. Let's go some more. Another.
We just got to see more of Evelyn, don't we? We just can't let that one go. Anyway, pro tip, if you're planning a murder, draw the blinds. Because people outside can see everything you're doing.
Because Donna's going to see what you're doing.
Right? Donna is watching. And she's going to run in right as Malcolm's handing the gun to Evelyn to get her prints on it. Donna is quickly overpowered, and Malcolm's all like, well, guess we got to kill her too. Evelyn's had enough of this shit, though, and when Malcolm finally tries to wrest the gun from her, she ends up pulling the trigger, blowing a hole through his torso. Pretty good special effects on that one. I liked it. As the two fall together onto the floor, Evelyn verbally goes over the story that they had concocted to tell the police, but with Malcolm in place of James. Thank God. It's fucking over. Thank fucking God. We do get another really cool establishing shot of the falls at night as Cooper is heading back to his room at the Great Northern for the evening. He looks at a picture of Carolyn in his wallet while he waits for the elevator. When it arrives, a disguised Earl steps off it right behind Cooper's back. Earl leaves a letter for Audrey at the desk before he walks his groin directly into the camera lens.
No. He grabs a picture of an owl.
Oh, yes, the owl postcard.
And then he does...
Another owl reference.
Then he does cock can.
And then he does cock can. Cooper enters his room, hangs up his vest, and straightens the suit on its hanger before turning to his bed where he sees a little gift that Earl has left for him.
Okay, before we go to that really quickly, so I found this kind of interesting. So he takes his vest off and hangs it, and then kind of in a earlier in the episode, Albert talks about how he traded the suit for his current clothing, and then when he walks in, he puts the vest on the hanger, but then he kind of adjusts his suit, and I thought that was kind of a nice callback to that scene. And I thought he kind of misses it.
He does. You can tell. So. It's been his uniforms for so long.
Those are nice little character moments. We don't get enough of that shit at all.
Yeah. Anyway. Cooper's one of the lucky few to get those little extra touches.
And it's probably him. He probably is just doing it, but who knows?
Kyle MacLachlan, you mean?
Yeah. He's just probably... Oh, I'll just make this up. Anyway.
Yeah. Earl has left him a death mask of Caroline and another taunting recording, letting Cooper know it's your move. Freeze frame and roll credits.
There you go.
Diane Keaton.
No special credits here. Just going back to the
standard
photo of a person.
Who got the writing credits for this episode?
It was Peyton and somebody else, I think. I wrote my final note was Diane Keaton, you are fired.
Yeah. One and done.
No more for you.
One and done. There was one quick trivia note. This is the only episode of the original series to not feature either Hawk or Andy. At least one of those two characters has been in every episode.
That is wild.
Not this week. Yeah.
I was going to say...
Just one of those little things.
Yeah. I mean, we were at the sheriff's office, but it was very kind of pointed areas.
Yeah, no Lucy either.
No Lucy. No.
Yeah, Peyton and Engels, so the crew.
But yeah, this is a brutal episode. It does wrap up everything, but it's just what?
Yeah. The lowest cumulative rating of any episode on IMDb. Want to take a guess as to what that is?
I have no idea. 3.8.
Even when it's bad, it's not that bad. It's a 7.1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lowest rated. And that's 4,000 ratings or something like that. So
this show just has its cult fans, and they will just love it, and they'll gloss over this bullshit, and they'll high rate.
And it also has people who are able to look at it through the proper lens of context.
I mean, if I'm rating the entire 2 seasons so far, I'm giving it a 7.
Fair. I will not contest that. So yeah, by and large, the impression I got from the little anecdotes I was able to glean from internet resources is that Lynch was not present on set for much of this shoot. He just kind of let Keaton do her thing, turned her loose, and said, "Have fun," and she clearly did.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I mean, I shouldn't say Keaton, you're fired. Like, I feel like visually, it's fine. It's consistent. It doesn't have a lot of. I think a lot of. I mean, unless she just really had them ad lib a lot of this. If this is how the script actually was, then it's not really on her. It's on the writers. So I'm like, I would have to know which one took priority here. Like, did she actually go way off and do her own thing, or did she stick pretty close to the script and just had some visual quirkiness to it, which I'm fine with.
I feel like the dialogue as written was pretty by the book. I think the way the plots move along,
it's probably how it was written.
Have the choice.
I think she just got a shitty episode, honestly. I mean, it would have been fine if she put her quirkiness on another episode. I probably would have been fine with it. Just more stuff would have been. This episode just sucks as a written episode. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. If she'd have been able to get some season 1 material, we probably would have seen something better out of it.
There's some other episodes that were directed really poorly that she probably would have done really well on, honestly.
Yeah.
So
maybe our
kind of
earlier
unfair.
Assessments are a little too harsh.
Yeah.
Because we do get, like I said, I did enjoy a lot of the visual stuff that went on, the Ed and Norma scene in particular. So we shouldn't discredit her entirely. But like we said, some of the quirkiness was just for quirkiness' sake, and some of it worked and some of it did not.
And it's, you know what's also about that? It's like
opinions.
They didn't have to use that. They chose to use it. The editor can always choose not to do it. Did they shoot different versions of the police leaving the house instead of the 3 guys marching out the door? Was it just the 1 guy left, and then they reshot? It's like, oh, let's do the 3 guys, and then like the editor chose to put that in there just because it's Lynchian. Like, sometimes you don't really know. Like, a director on a TV show doesn't really have any control over the editing of the product at the end of the day. So like, a lot of the editing could have been changed. Like, whatever she shot, they chose not to use, and they did something else. It's, we can't really put it all on her, and I think it was visually consistent. There's some other episodes that have not been that, so I'll reel it in a little bit. It would have been nice if she had a more well-written episode. This episode is just
some better material.
They're just trying to wrap up all these kind of bizarre plots and
stuff that nobody liked.
Yeah, and it is still consistent. Ultimately, even with the quirky stuff, like, the characters are all still consistent with how they were in other episodes. It's not like they wildly diverge, except for Albert, in my opinion. But that's the choice that the writers have made, I think. So,
we also didn't gloss on that scene of Audrey repeatedly smacking Bobby in the face with her purse.
I remember I don't remember that, but I remember the scene where, as
they're wrapping up the whole thing, Bobby's comment is, "I thought the North won the Civil War," which obviously means he completely missed the entire point.
Well, I just remember the scene I remember is like where they're sitting together and he is kind of like kissing her shoulder.
And that's when he first shows up in uniform.
And because they're watching. Yeah, they're both dressed up at that time, but they're just sitting there watching Jacoby and Ben kind of do their thing, and he's kind of like trying to flirt with her, and she like smacks him. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, man, poor Audrey. What the fuck is this about?
Oh, just you wait.
How does it get worse, Gabe?
Yeah, 2 words: Billy fucking Zane.
Oh, Billy Zane's, is that next episode?
That is next episode.
Oh, okay, and he's in it till the end.
Not quite.
Oh, god damn it!
You know. Whatever.
Did you see that photo? The photos of him as
Brando?
As Brando? That's pretty crazy.
Pretty spot on.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
I give Billy Zane a lot of shit, specifically for his 90s output. But the dude is genuinely a decent actor.
I mean, The Phantom is one of the greatest superhero films of all time.
We're going to have to agree to disagree there.
It's a joke. It's a joke, Gabe. I mean, I do like that movie, but it's pretty it's mediocre.
You know, I've never seen it, and if I watched it today, I'd probably be like,
"You can't fucking talk." Then you should watch it. All right. Anyway, we want to Billy Zane talk. Anyway. We're gonna do the Billy Zane podcast after this. Just a whole episode on Titanic, but only about Billy Zane. You know what
I saw him in most recently was an episode of Legends of Tomorrow, where he played P.T. Barnum.
I don't think I saw that episode.
It was later season, like 4 or 5. When they were starting to jump the shark pretty badly.
You know what's wild?
But I stuck with it for a while.
My wife, Bryn, she watched all of that show, dude. She really liked that show for some reason. It was wild.
I liked it a lot too. I thought it was.
There were definitely some great moments in kind of the middle even parts, like the third, second, third, maybe fourth.
And the cast had good chemistry too. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe we'll do a podcast on that one.
So we're talking about how Billy Zane ruined things. That's the comparison here.
No, he ruins Audrey. Yeah.
Well, he ruins Audrey. He ruined Legends of Tomorrow.
He was really good in that episode.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
So, I am ruining your narrative is what I'm doing.
Damn it!
I didn't have many episode-specific trivia notes for this one that we haven't gone over already. One last note about Diane Keaton from the cast is that she didn't necessarily seem to be completely clued in on what was going on. So I'm not sure if these episodes were shot out of order and she didn't get a lot of the input as to what came in. I mean, the imagery of the owls and the chess seemed pretty heavy-handed here. I read a couple of other reviews where they imply that this was just Diane Keaton showing I know what this show is about. It's about owls and chess.
So maybe she didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. It was just very heavy showrunner stuff, and then she just kind of said action and cut, and it was more of a very
it's possible.
Hands-off.
I mean, I feel like she got some breathing room to work with, but
I mean, we'll never know. But
chiefly because not unless we talk to her ourselves. But
I mean, there's definitely the potential that it was she just kind of was sitting in the driver's seat, but it was on autopilot.
That's could be
totally a potential. So we
could be, but I feel like the little quirks, like the bus drivers or the shots through the doors. But maybe, I do think those were her touches.
But maybe those aren't. Maybe her touches were maybe it's the more personal scenes like the Ed and Norma scene, and I think the scene with Shelley and Norma. A little more interpersonal. She does seem like it's more of an interpersonal kind of relationship thing.
That's the stuff that she excels at.
Maybe that's more her, and the quirky stuff is just the writers, and they just kind of set her up.
You got to make it quirky,
right?
It's hard to say, isn't it, without being there. Maybe there's some supplemental material somewhere that'll tell us more of that story, but
I mean, I'm sure you want to research your favorite episode more. So
don't we all? What I did have for some little fun bonus feature is a segment on the DVD that was called Postcards from the Cat. So there are 20 short stories told by various cast members. A lot of them are just, how they got cast, how they met David. But some of them are a little out there. So what I'm going to do is I've got notes on all 20 of them. I'm going to tell you the name of the cast member, and I'm going to see if you can tell me who they play.
Game show.
Before we get into their story.
Game show. All right.
Right? Okay. Sound fun? All right.
Let's do a test one just so I make sure I have it right here.
A test one?
Well, I don't know. Just give me the first one.
Do you want me to lead with the easy one, or do you want me to just go in order?
Lead with the easy one.
Okay, let's lead with the easy one. How about Michael Horse?
Michael Horse? And I'm supposed to give you what?
What character does this actor play? I thought the name would be a giveaway here.
Michael Horse?
Yeah.
Wait.
What kind of last name is Horse, huh?
Michael is it's a horse. It's an animal. It's
right. Yeah. Any particular, you know?
I'm gonna suck at this.
Well, dude, okay, think about this. Is there a particular type of what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, shit. Type of people whose last names tend to be animals?
What? That's confusing me more.
Yeah, okay. You know how Native American folks often have animals for last names? How's
Sure,
that? Is
sure.
that a little more heavy-handed of a clue?
Yeah, they have. I mean, there's a lot of
So the
people.
guy with the Native American last name, what character do you think he plays? Ian,
What?
come
I'm
on now.
I'm like fucking blitzed out of what. Just give me the answer, and then let
It's
me.
Hawk, dude.
Okay, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
So Michael Horse is a
Is the
character.
actor's name. No, Michael Horse is the actor's name.
Oh, we're just trying to like.
Yeah, you're lost. Okay. I'm
So
going to
I'm
tell
just
you the
trying to. You're
name
just,
of the actor,
and I'm supposed to
and then you
guess the
tell me what
character.
character they
Oh, I
play.
thought it was more involved than that.
No,
Oh, I thought it was like a
no,
more involved like.
no, 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 no.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I
Okay,
apologize.
all
Yeah.
right. I thought it was like a
So,
more involved like. All right, just a
ooh, that's going to
straight
be an
up, just a
amusing
straight
segment for the
up,
viewers.
just a straight up. This is just straight up quiz of
Yeah.
like,
So,
am I paying
okay.
attention or not? All right,
Yeah, that's the one.
all right.
So yeah, I apologize for my tone there, but I thought it would be pretty obvious that the guy named Michael Horse would be playing the Native American character on the show.
That's called.
Typecasting, yeah. And part of his story is about that, honestly.
Hmm?
He talks about how he's originally, by trade an artist and activist. And when he moved to Hollywood, the parts he was getting offered were, it was Tonto every time. And so, an agent came to him with a Tonto role and he said, no thanks. And the agent said, it's 50 grand. And he said, hello, Kimosabi.
I always had to play
So that's
Tonto in
how,
elementary school, and I'm not even Native American, or I'm just whatever.
but
I
he does,
get it.
yeah, he talks about his tale is generally about the lack of quality roles for Native Americans and how they're typically typecast and stuff like, Tonto. But he does specifically mention a really good role he had on a Canadian show called North of 60, a CBC show, which is all about the plight of the Native people there, where he plays a therapist.
Okay, there you go.
So that was his story. So from the top, let's start with this is the order they appear on in the DVD set. We begin with Richard Baymer.
That's Ben Horn, right?
That is Ben Horn. Very good. He has one of the longest stories on here where he discusses a trip he took to the Amazon to basically learn and study from a shaman and do several bouts of ayahuasca.
Oh, okay.
And he basically spent a week with a native tribe in the Amazon doing their cleansing rituals and
Okay.
taking ayahuasca and other drugs that he said cleaned him out from both ends, and then talking about painting him, covering himself with this lotion made from a root that turned his skin blue for a week.
It's like Medicine Man with Sean Connery.
Kind of. I mean, it's a fascinating story. It really is.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
he's
That's cool.
really into it. He talks about it like it's a religious experience for him.
All right. Cool.
So it was really, and yeah, he's probably in his 60s at this point.
Oh yeah.
So he's like, I had my camera on me the whole time, and it's like this top of the line 2002 Sony digital camcorder.
Right. Right.
Like he shows off how the view screen flips around so you can look at yourself while you're filming.
There you go.
He's really impressed by that.
Classic.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting story.
Okay.
Next, we have Michael J. Anderson.
Michael J. Anderson.
Yeah, you haven't seen him in a long time.
Oof.
A brief part.
Michael J.
Kind of short, if you catch my drift.
Kind of short. Michael J. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
When I say kind of short, I mean it literally.
Wait, he's like literally the dwarf guy in the red room?
Yes, he is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The character's name is the Man from Another Place.
We saw him maybe like twice, and it's the same scene. That's hardly a character. Like.
We'll see him again.
Oh, will we? Oh, of course we will.
Yeah, he just has a quick bit about fan reactions, about how fun it is to hear them try and talk backwards to him.
Oh, okay.
Next is Kimmy Robertson.
Kimmy Robertson. I'm going to suck at this. I don't remember Kimmy Robertson.
She looks like her name.
She does?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Shelley?
She looks like a Kimmy. No.
A Kimmy. Oh, no. Wait, is that Lucy?
That's Lucy.
Oh, okay.
She has no anecdotes to offer that relate to the show. It's just her and a couple of friends trying to figure out what kind of rodent is burrowing a hole in her backyard. And then we get a close-up of her pets playing.
Oh, okay.
She's got cute pets, though. Dog and a cat.
Fun.
Next is Everett McGill.
Everett McGill. Is that Pete?
No.
Is that...
Good guess. You're in the neighborhood.
Everett McGill. In the neighborhood, in the sense that...
That tier of character. Everett McGill. Sounds like the kind of name that would have a drawl to it, doesn't it?
Oh, Doc.
No.
No, it's not the Doc.
Nope.
Oh, then I have no idea.
It's Big Ed.
Oh.
Big Ed Hurley.
There, I see. I feel like I was way off. I don't think that's the same neck. I don't think that's the same neck of the woods at all.
I think he looks like an Everett. Anyway, his story is about the first time that he met David Lynch, and that was actually during casting for Dune.
Oh, okay.
Everett McGill is in David Lynch's Dune.
Oh, is he?
He is. He plays Stilgar, which is the Javier Bardem role in the current iteration.
Damn, I have to watch that again.
He's got a beard in it, so you probably wouldn't spot him right away. Kind of wouldn't.
What are other roles that guy's been? I mean, I've seen him in lots of things, but
those are the only two I'm aware of.
Oh, I feel like I've seen him before. Anyway, okay.
We'd have, I got the IMDb up here right here, so I can Google him pretty quickly.
I just feel like he's been in something.
That's all I know him from.
Okay.
We can look that up later, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, his tale is about casting for Dune and how the first time he met David Lynch, what they started discussing was Lynch's Studebaker Hawk.
Oh, okay.
Which was a passion project of his that he really wanted to customize, and McGill offered a couple of tips.
Studebaker Hawk. They took the name Hawk from Michael Horse. See, look at it. It's all like full circle. Look at that. Because I'm failing at this game so miserably, I need to succeed at some other random connection.
I wouldn't say you're failing miserably. You got a few of them.
Pretty miserably.
But yeah, so anyway, that conversation left a permanent association in David Lynch's mind of Everett being a car guy.
Got you.
So when it came time to add some details...
Gas station. Holy shit, Gabe. Did you just...
And let's cast Everett in the role.
Oh, all right, cool.
So yeah, he did specifically approach Everett with the role of Ed in mind for him, saying, hey, this guy's a mechanic. I thought of you when I wrote him. Next, we have Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that one.
I'm not even going to... Yeah.
I thought you said you gave me the easy one. That is the easy one.
I thought it would be an easy one to guess from.
I see.
Not an obvious one.
Okay.
So anyway, he also talks about the casting process for Dune.
That's Gordon,
he was
right? No, just kidding. Just kidding.
It's a good thing we don't record these in person, because I'd be slapping you right now.
Oh, I like a good slap.
So yeah, when Kyle was cast in Dune, he was a 23-year-old kid working in Seattle theater. And They just sent out scouts, and somebody saw him perform. He didn't mention what play he was in at the time, but he mentioned that he took 5 days off to go down to L.A., met with David, talked a little bit about it. He goes into a little more detail about his meeting with Dino De Laurentiis. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah. The famous producer.
Yeah, which was...
Or infamous.
his meeting was with Lynch in Culver City. And then he drove straight from there to a hotel in Hollywood, which is where he met with Dino. He went to his room, and Dino was in the middle of dinner. He said he still had pasta in the corners of his mouth when he entered. He sat down, and Dino's only question for him was, "How old you are?" He said, 23. Oh, okay. You got the part. That was it. Yeah, and suddenly Kyle MacLachlan was a Hollywood star. And so, he was like in Hollywood for a day. They flew him back to Seattle for another 2 weeks, and then they brought him out for costuming and screen tests and the like.
How close are Lynch and MacLachlan? Because, I mean, really, if you look at
close, from what I understand.
Lynch, I mean, from Dune, his next, I mean, these 3 projects are like, right after this, Dune, Blue Velvet, and Twin Peaks. Like, he worked with him back to back to back,
Mm-hmm.
So he must have been really taken by him.
Must have been. I'm not sure I think MacLachlan did Showgirls in between Twin Peaks and Fire Walk with Me. I could be wrong about that.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, for Lynch, it's Dune, Blue Velvet, and Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Then he does Wild Heart, and then he goes back to Twin Peaks. But I mean, David Lynch's 3 projects in a row are MacLachlan projects, so it's...
Yeah, bit of a Muse thing going on there, it would seem.
For sure.
But hey, it seems fruitful for both of them. They both seem to have made a pretty good career out of it. After Kyle, we have Wendy Robie. I don't expect you to get that one.
Wendy Robie. This is like a bit player, right? We're talking like someone who was like in 1 or 2 episodes.
More than that.
Oh, really?
I'd say she gets a pretty fair arc.
She gets a fair arc.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Norma's mom?
No.
Okay, no.
Bigger than that.
Bigger than that.
Involving some stunt work, even.
Stunt work.
Mm-hmm. Stunt work like airplane slams.
Oh, it's Norma?
Nadine.
Or Nadine. Sorry. Nadine.
Yeah.
That's her name? Oh, wow. That's
an
interesting name.
Are easy to get confused. Yeah.
Oh, so she's in a lot of episodes.
She is, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like a bit player. Man, that name is that does not fit her. Like, that's a weird name.
Wendy Robie? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a interesting.
She did also start out as a Seattle stage actor. Apparently, David loves to recruit from those stage actors. When she got the script, yeah, and when she got the original pilot script, which was Northwest Passage, so she assumed it was something about Lewis and Clark, and she showed up to her audition wearing a shawl. I just touched this piece of paper like I was scrolling it. Like it was a track. Jesus Christ. Next we have Grace Zabriskie. You haven't seen her for a few episodes.
Grace.
Yeah, I won't even make it. This one's Laura's mom, Sarah Palmer.
Oh. Okay. We have a few episodes. I mean, we haven't seen her since.
More than a few, yeah. Her anecdote is about how she attended certain screenings of the pilot episode, and every now and again she would run into people who would laugh at the scene where it pans down the phone cord and you just hear Sarah screaming over the end of it.
I mean, she's the most unhinged actor to ever play a role in
Twin
Peaks. I mean,
talks it up as like, some people laugh at it, and then other people get very, very protective and get mad at the people who are laughing at it. And then when they ask her about it, she's like, I can understand how people would interpret that as funny.
She looks more like a Sarah in the show than a Gracie.
Yeah. And then the other people are like, oh, well, so you played it for laughs then? So she's just like, I just can't win. Everybody's going to see it one way or the other, and I can't please everybody.
She's a thespian. She goes big.
Yeah. Next up after Grace is Dana Ashbrook.
Dana Ashbrook. Is it someone I've already mentioned?
No.
Okay. Man, I suck at this.
This one's an androgynous name too, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, right.
I will tell you, this is a male actor.
Dana Ashbrook. Is it a dude?
It is a dude.
All right. Is it a character that's current?
Yes. In this week's episode. In pretty much every episode.
Pretty much every episode.
Pretty much.
It's not James.
Nope.
It's not Jacoby. I know that.
Nope.
I forget who Wyndham Earl is. But he's not really.
It's not Wyndham Earl. He also hasn't been in every episode.
Dana. Who looks like a Dana? Bobby?
Bobby Briggs.
Oh my God.
Dana Ashbrook's story is about how he and Kimmy knew each other in LA.
Oh, really?
Through mutual friends.
Oh, okay.
And they were out drinking at some tiki bar on the Strip, just hanging out, talking about how awesome it would be to land a steady series. 3 weeks later, they were both on the set for Northwest Passage.
Nice.
He talks about how it was just dumb luck for him landing the role. It wasn't wasn't that he knew anybody. He wasn't previously worked with Lynch, nothing like that. It was just luck and perseverance got him the part and helped him get a career.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Next we have Peggy Lipton.
That's Norma.
That's Norma. Everybody knows Norma. She talks about how most of her confidence in the part came from the fact that she knew that David specifically wanted her for it.
It's a good part for her.
She said,
really.
It is. Yeah. And she said that gave her the confidence to play it how she wanted to play it. And it gave her room to explore it in her own way, and she didn't feel constrained or anything like that.
I actually think that she's like one of the best things about the show, and I think at a certain point in the show when they had to solve the Laura Palmer thing, they should have looked at their actors and been like, well, which one should we really put some weight on? And I think if you had done some kind of murder thing or some kind of framing thing with her character, not only would she got more stuff to do than this sad kind of Ed subplot with Hank, like we could have. I mean, this show could have really gone some places. It's kind of sad to think about, really.
And maybe that's what people love the most about it is the potential.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what draws people to it.
I do. I mean, that's my most positive thing about it. Like, I get the Laura Palmer thing, and that was the thing the show was doing, but like, there was just so much wasted potential in this show. I would have gotten rid of the actors that couldn't really act, and I would have really leaned on the actors that could. And I think Peggy Lipton, Norma, I think that would have been a great character to kind of do something with. And then, Coop would have helped her through her situation, and
Yeah, we never really get a lot of scenes between the two.
No,
of them,
but it would have been a cool new dynamic, and then maybe she's spending a lot of time with him, and Ed gets jealous, but there's no real reason. Like, you could create all this kind of new stuff. It's just, I mean, it's funny as I watch the show, and I think, man, what a wasted opportunity here or there, and why did we do, you complain about this, Evelyn James thing. It's 100%. What a wasted.
Yeah,
maybe we should have just send those kids to school, and we'll call on them when we need them. We don't have to focus on them. Fuck that shit, Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, the way she talks, it's very clear that she was there for David Lynch.
Yeah.
And she does specify that it wasn't nearly as fun on set on the days where he wasn't around.
She's definitely one of the best parts of the show. She's like, she brings her game. She's always fun to watch and entertaining, and she just does a good job. Like, when you look at a lot of those characters, like acting ability, she's just like one of the most believable characters on the show. So
yeah, for sure. After her, we get Ray Wise.
Okay, Ray Wise. That's a name I see all the time.
He's a prolific guy.
He's a prolific character in the show. Ray Wise.
Oh, you're just looking up his name, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm looking at him.
I'm kidding.
Is that the doc?
No.
No. God. Ray Wise.
Also someone who left us several episodes ago.
Oh, he left us. He left us?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like the mayor? Or
No. Longer ago.
Longer ago.
Probably 8 or 10 episodes at this point. No, less than that.
That's not Leland, is it?
Yes,
oh, that is?
That's Leland. Yep.
Okay. Now I remember. The name is so, like, I know you've said it a lot, and I know we've talked about Ray Wise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel
he's mostly a comedy guy these days. Like, he's the quirky rich dad with the good tan. If you're familiar with the sitcom Fresh Off the Boat,
no,
he plays the neighbor in that show.
I guess I have a hard time with some of these because I'm thinking like current, and then like.
Oh yeah, most of them you're not going to see in current stuff. And in fact, a lot of them have since passed. Not Ray Wise though; he's still kicking. He also bonded with Lynch over cars. Ray Wise's first car was a '60 Alfa Romeo convertible. They had a mutual friend in Keith McMillan, who played Baron Harkonnen in David Lynch's version of Dune.
Okay.
Ray also specifies that the role he really wanted was Sheriff Truman. And that reading the script for Leland, he just remarked on the fact that Leland cried in every scene that he was in the pilot.
He wouldn't have made a very good Truman, though. Too old.
I don't think so, yeah. I mean, no, they were roughly the same age at that point, I would think.
Yeah, but Leland plays a more older father figure. Truman's like a little younger.
And he has, there's an intensity to Ray Wise that it wouldn't have suited the role of Truman.
Plus, he's a silver hair, and you look at like
I can't see him making out with Joan Chen.
Yeah, right. Like she has to like deal with these old men anyway, so you want her with like someone who seems younger. Yeah,
a little hipper. Next up, we have Cheryl Lee.
Oh, Cheryl Lee is Shelley, right? No. What? Who's Cheryl Lee then?
Cheryl Lee is the one.
The log lady?
Oh, God.
Cheryl Lee.
Anybody who's watched this show is going to quit.
Laura Palmer.
Thank you.
Sorry. Listen, this
Cheryl
person.
Lee, the log lady?
I should have said. What is the other character's Maddie? I should have just said Maddie. I shouldn't have said Laura Palmer. I should have said Maddie. I should have been like, Maddie.
You would have been right.
I know, but that would have been the better answer. Come on, she hasn't been on this show in fucking weeks.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. But she's a pretty important part of it.
Isn't Shelley's name similar to her name, though? No. It's not? Okay, never mind.
No, it's not. Cheryl Lee discusses her month in Africa, which she did after she did a show called L.A. Doctors.
L.A. Doctors.
She said this was the first time she'd taken a vacation from work in a while, and it was just her alone in, what was it she said? I forget the specific country. But it was something that inspired her lifelong passion for animal activism. She went into a lot of detail about that. I won't repeat it all here. Next is Miguel Ferrer.
Albert, obviously.
Yep. That's our boy Albert. basically what we learned from him is that he said yes to the show without ever having read a script. When he did get the scripts for his character, which were episodes 2 and 3, he hadn't actually seen the pilot yet. So he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He said that in his first meeting with Frost, Frost kind of pointed out, he's like, so you didn't watch the pilot, did you? He's like, no. He's like, okay, well, so he gave him a tape. And Miguel says he took it home and watched it once, and then he called 6 or 7 of his friends and said, you have to come over here right now and watch this. And then they watched it 2 more times. He was very vocal about how impressed he was with the pilot and how unique it was and how there was nothing like it on television at that point in time. Just very, very animated in his support for the series. Which, his enthusiasm comes through in his role. Next, we have Mädchen Amick.
What?
Mädchen Amick.
Could you say it in a sentence?
I will tell you that Mädchen is actually the German word for girl.
Oh, so it's a girl. All right.
Yes. But that is her actual name, Mädchen Amick. I'll tell you, she doesn't really look like a Mädchen. But she does look like a girl. I think you've guessed her 3 times already.
Oh, Shelley.
There you go.
That's a wild. What a weird. That's a crazy name.
Pretty crazy, huh? I think she had hippie parents. She talks about how sometimes she would just be so tired from shooting that she would leave without washing off her makeup. Occasionally, this makeup would be bruises from a scene where she had just been abused by Leo. And so she would go shopping with this bruise makeup on, and people would give her pitying looks. She also talks about how sometimes the fans are really dumb. She was visiting family in the Northwest, and a clerk recognized her from the show and then looked at her watch and said, "But you're on in 2 hours."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That reminds me of one of my favorite George Carlin lines, which is,
you can't trust actors because they're all full of shit. So
yeah, maybe. But that's a very believable story.
Sure it is. Anyway, George Carlin joke.
The George Carlin line is, think of how dumb the average American is, and now realize that half of all Americans are dumber than that. So, there you go. All right. Next up is Don Davis. Yeah. If I told you he was also on the X-Files, would that help? Very early episodes of the X-Files.
Is this a major player in
you
Twin
could
Peaks?
say that, yeah.
Oh, is it Andy?
You could say it's a major player.
Oh, major. Oh, it's the major. Oh, Major Briggs.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
That is funny.
Oh.
Pretty convenient.
God damn it! I should have just
Good
said.
One.
Is it the? Is he major? Jesus, so stupid.
So anyway, we get a look at him playing with his 3-month-old black lab, which is honestly really adorable.
Fun. So
this
is all on the DVD. Segments. These are all these little clips. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. Altogether, they take up about an hour 15. Oh. This is one of the longer segments. We get a good long look at his house. He shows off his home office and the gigantic printer that he keeps in his laundry room.
All that Twin Peaks money. Showing off all that Twin Peaks money.
Well, I mean, he had his toe dipped in a lot of different projects.
That dude, I've seen that guy a lot. That guy's a character actor. He's been around.
Yes, he's been around a lot. And he talks about how initially his plan was to just kind of use acting as a way to fund his real passions, which were drawing and woodworking. And so he shows us some of his woodworking, which is really impressive.
Oh, okay.
Just a profile of a Native American and a carving of a trout with some really detailed scale patterns. And then he shows us a sketch of...
They should have hanged some of that shit up in the Great Northern.
They could have, yeah. It would have been appropriate. And then he shows us a sketch in progress that he's working on for a friend. That friend is Dom DeLuise. Oh. And it's a picture of Dom and his son, Peter. And it was
nice name drop detailed, there, Major.
Very photorealistic, really, really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a real fascinating look into his life. Apparently, he also used to work as a stuntman before he actually got into speaking roles.
That's wild. That's cool.
Next one we get is Al Strobel. I don't expect you to get this one. He was a bit of a bit part.
Al Strobel.
Another one we haven't seen since the conclusion of Laura's mystery.
Al Strobel. Conclusion of Laura. Al Strobel. Al Strobel.
Yeah, no, you will never get this one.
Okay.
This is the One-Armed Man.
Of course it is.
Mike or Philip Gerard. So yeah, we get another real interesting, if harrowing, story from him. Also begins with him talking about his first car, which was a 51 Oldsmobile Super 88 convertible.
All right.
Which he heavily modified, and he says it was too much car for him. And yeah, that would be the case, as it very nearly cost him his life.
Oh.
It did cost him his arm.
Oh, so we get the story about the loss of his arm in his...
We do.
Interesting.
So he skidded on some black ice, was thrown from the car, was not wearing a seatbelt, was thrown 50 feet in the air, and landed on his left side, crashing through a tree. His whole left side was pretty much crushed. Collapsed lung, punctured rib, or broken ribs, punctured lung, He talks about not being able to see. He was blind. And then he reached back and felt softness on his head, and then felt a big chunk that he just kind of pushed back into place. And then he talks about having an out-of-body experience where he could see where he was, and he could see the car in the driveway. And he somehow spiritually communicated with the guy in the house who was in the shower when the actual wreck happened, to go out into this negative 20 below weather to go look for a body in his driveway.
That's intense.
And that is seriously intense. He was 17 years old when that happened.
Cool.
And now he's famous for Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Some
people lead very interesting lives. I mean, to survive a wreck like that in the late 50s, I mean, holy shit.
Was he driving a Studebaker Hawk?
No. No, I told you what he was driving.
No, I know.
51 old Super 88.
I know, but it would have been funny if it was a Studebaker Hawk. Look at that circle.
Yeah.
Just got
bigger. Oh, yeah.
No, anyway.
Funny enough, next up was the Michael Horse bit. But we've gone over that already, so we'll move on next to Piper Laurie.
Oh, yeah. That's Mr. Iwata. What is the Asian guy's name? No. Yeah, Catherine.
There you go. There's your makeup for the Maddie bit, right? Yeah, a real brief thing with her, which, she just talks about how she and David Lynch had mutual friends, and that's how she got to know him and got cast in the role. He was familiar with her work on Carrie and was very impressed with it. Or not, was it Carrie? Yeah, Carrie. I always get Carrie and Christine confused. But yeah, she just talks about how supportive the fans are and how wild it was that it grew into the thing that it was, because she didn't expect it to become successful.
Yeah, neither did I.
Next is James Marshall.
What did we do wrong? We didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, it's...
You were supposed to protect Willie.
We were supposed to protect him. We're supposed to stand up for guys like... Anyway.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, it's James.
It's James. James is James. And honestly, he has the best David Lynch story of this bunch.
Oh, really?
He does. He talks about them filming an exterior shot at the Roadhouse. The crew is all setting up the shot. You know, they're all in the area doing their thing, and David is just off like 50 yards away, just out in the parking lot. And he's staring at a puddle in the parking lot. James goes up to him, and the first thing David says to him is, "Isn't that beautiful?" And so James looks down into the puddle he was looking at. And we are off the mic, folks.
There we go. 2 hours. There you go. 2 hours is the obviously the amount of battery life.
No, I've done a lot more talking this week than I normally do, I think. Right. So yeah, he looks down and he sees what James sees, or he sees what David sees in the reflection, which is it's the Bang Bang Bar sign, and it's just like perfectly reflected in the puddle, and there are 2 cigarette butts right where the bullets from the guns would be.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's just sitting there staring at it, thinking about how beautiful it is. And so James asks him, "Well, are you going to shoot it?" He's like, "I don't know. I feel like I kind of have to." And he talks about how like that's the kind of director that David is, and that like he's constantly seeing stuff on the set in the moment that adds to the inspiration that can impact the scene, that can impact what he's doing.
And it's the shit like that that gets us scenes like a bag floating in the air. Isn't it beautiful?
Anyway. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those drapes. Aren't they beautiful?
Anyway. No, that's cool story. Anyway. That's cool. A look into the mind of an artist. Auteur.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one we have is Russ Tamblyn.
Oh, that's the guy I hate the most. That Jacoby, baby.
That's
Fuck
right.
That guy. I know that name. Every time it's always at the end of the credits, and Russ Tamblyn as Dr. Jacoby, and I just look
right, yeah.
I'm like, fuck, another episode with this asshole. Anyway, because like he unlike Chen, who's like always in the credits. He's only in the credits if he's on the show, whereas Chen is like, her name's always there, even if she's not in the show. It's wild. I don't know what her agent did to get her in that fucking thing, but
I mean, she's not the only one. Like Kimmy turns up on the credits in episodes she's not in. So does Harry Goaz, who's Andy. So it's known to happen, not just Joan Chen.
You know what? I have Harry Goaz.
Oof.
Oof.
2.1.
It's a good dad joke.
No, it's not.
It's great. Twin Peaks dad jokes. Here for you folks. Story. How many more of these do we have?
Just 2.
Okay, all right.
Russ's story is about his daughter Amber. In this video, she's about 17. So this would have been recorded, give or take 25 years ago.
Okay, sure.
And she's talking, like the 2 of them are talking about how she had attended a fan fest with her dad once. And he discusses how like it's really hard to get all of the cast members together for one of these. There's always one person or another missing due to various scheduling conflicts. But he says this was one of the biggest turnouts that they'd ever had as far as the cast goes. And so Amber went around having the entire cast sign her shoes that she was wearing. She was 8 years old at that time.
Nice.
So they show off these shoes that she kept with all the signatures from the cast, and some of them signed as their character, some of them signed as the actor. But yeah, it was a cute little story, and it definitely was like a pretty core memory for the 2 of them. You could tell.
Cool. Fun.
All right, our very last one of these is Catherine Coulson.
Catherine Coulson. Has she not been on the show for a while?
No, she hasn't turned up in several episodes. But you always remember her when she does.
I mean, if you count the episodes that I've been watching, she's in every one.
The Log Lady.
The Log Lady.
Because I don't get her at all in my episodes. No. I don't get any of that.
I get all the introductions.
Okay, I got you.
Which, to be frank, I mean, some of those are like I like her delivery of the lines that she gets. I mean, it's fun to watch her inhabit the character in that way, but some of them are just like such obvious painfully obvious metaphors that it's.
What was the one for this one?
It was all about death masks.
Death masks. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Relating to the final scene. I can pull it up real quick if you want to hear it.
No, that's fine. I was just hoping it was more like Slave Master, kind of along my metaphor for the show. I was hoping to be more kind of like a,
No.
The slave escapes the chains of bondage, only to find a stronger set of chains. Something along that line.
No, this is more about how... one of the lines in here is, a death mask is almost an intrusion on a beautiful memory. So that's kind of the theme of this week's introduction.
All right. So explain to me the Log Lady thing was only brought in for the DVD under whose...
No, for the Bravo network.
For the Bravo network. Also, though, were the title names for Bravo network?
The title names were from German television.
So they have nothing to do with... So the Bravo episodes don't have titles?
No.
Okay. So Amazon adopted the German titles into their shows, but they don't use the Log Lady. And the Log Lady is only on the DVD.
That's correct.
Why is there not an all-encompassing, at this point, collector's edition DVD with all of it? Like,
there is.
Oh, there is. So there is. So there is. So yours has the titles and the Log Lady.
Yes.
Blu-ray remastered UHD 4K.
No. There are only 2 episodes in 4K.
Oh.
The rest are all in 1080.
Were they shot on film or on video?
The 2 that are in 4K were shot on film.
But those are the only 2 episodes that were shot on film? Everything else was shot on video?
I think all of The Return was shot on film.
But not of the original series was all shot on video. Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure the pilot was the only part of the
original. Then all of The Return could be in 4K then.
Could be, but they only did 1 episode.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That's so interesting.
I don't know if that was a time or financial factor, but yeah. So the one I'm watching off of is the comprehensive box set. It's called From Z to A.
Why is it called that? Oh, okay. I thought that you had some kind of insider information, Gabe.
There's no specific relevance to it as far as
you're my Twin Peaks, Indiana Jones. You're like...
There are some inversion themes that you run into in The Return that we haven't explored yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so this includes there is a DVD set of the original series that does include all of the Log Lady intros and a lot of the special features that we've already gone over.
So, okay, so we had this little thing where these guys told little stories. How come Truman doesn't do one? How come the 2 ladies, how come Laura and, is it Cheryl Lynn? Who plays Donna?
Sherilyn Fenn.
Yeah, how come they didn't do little stories? Like everyone else did them.
I assume it was just an availability thing.
Fuck these guys. But Truman, you would think would have done one. Or
these weren't.
I don't even know what his name is.
None of these are professionally done.
They're just kind of simple little fun little.
No, they're they're showing a camcorder in people's. Yeah,
but it's you would think that they would let's take a camcorder over there and do one. Everyone else did one.
They approached everybody. I'm not sure the context of these. I'm not sure if they were specifically for the DVD set, or if it's just archive material that they decided to include.
Lynch just wanted these sick, perverted things that he could just masturbate to while he was.
I get the impression that some of these were recorded at Lynch's house, and that some of them were recorded by his daughter Jennifer.
Oh yeah.
But I've got.
That makes sense. That sounds like classic Lynch.
But I know Kimmy's was recorded at Kimmy's own home. Russ Tamblin's was recorded at his home.
Do we know, like, just in a weird way, do we know anyone who just didn't get, even though they were on the show for a long time, that did not get along with Lynch? Was there any of that? Like, just didn't.
Never heard any of the cast.
There's no stories of that kind of. Okay.
Nobody talked about having a bad time on the set. They all talk about it as if it was a pleasant job to have.
Cool.
Everybody got along, cast crew like.
I think that was fun. Thank you for that interesting little trip down. I think I did. That was pretty shitty. But
it was a fun way to do a deep dive on the background, though.
Cool.
I thought that one was a lot more interesting than the one we went over where Lynch was just kind of rambling about his own memories while other people were present to prod him. Which, there were definitely some interesting stories in that too. But it's nice to have other people's perspective on the production rather than just Lynch's.
Right.
So yeah, that is the end of that disc, and I think I've only got one more disc to go there'll be two more discs to go for the original series.
I mean, what are we at? We have like 7 more episodes?
7 episodes left, yeah.
That seems like a lifetime.
When you consider that we've done 23 now, it's not all that bad.
We've been doing it for a minute, though, huh?
It's been a while, yeah.
23 is like a half a year.
Almost. Yeah, we're over the 6-month mark.
Almost half a year. Anyway.
We started in February.
I mean, obviously we took some breaks in there, but
yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, we're starting to get some legs here. We've got longevity.
There you go.
And it's been fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a captive. I can't, I can't. I'll blink twice if anyone wants to come rescue me.
Any comfort, this is supposed to be rock bottom this week. This is supposed to be.
This is rock bottom.
This is, from what the general consensus is, that this is the worst episode.
Listen, we had Nano Witch 2 weeks in a row, and then tonight she's like, no, I'm not fucking doing tonight. She's like, nope.
No. Even Nano Witch couldn't get through that one.
She's like, fuck these guys. I'm gone.
Maybe her kid's got a thing. Who knows?
Maybe. That's funny though.
Well, I think we can wrap things up. We've done enough trivia for this week. And
we did a full 2 hours tonight. We brought it back. There you go.
We found some good material to work with.
There you go. All
right. We want to do. Oh, you know what we haven't done yet? We'll just dip in real quick on the ratings.
Oh, we didn't do the ratings.
We didn't do the ratings because, like I said, I learned something new this week.
Well, you said they sucked. I mean, do we need to tell them how sucky they were?
We do, because there are specifics that we need to talk about.
Oh, Gabe has all this fucking. Okay, let's do it.
So, this episode aired on February 16th, 1991.
3 days after Valentine's Day? 2 days.
This is the lowest rated episode of the series as far as Nielsen is concerned as well. For reference, the season 2 premiere did a 12.2. That was at the end of September of 1990. And now, about 15 weeks in, the rating has dropped to a 5.1. We've gone from 19 million viewers to 7.8 million viewers. The household share has been halved from 20 to 10%, and the rank is now 88th on the week. So, this is where the big, long preemption starts. The one that we didn't have an explanation for. We do now.
Oh.
The explanation is that ABC pulled it off the schedule.
Oh, okay.
This wasn't a hiatus for sports programming. This was we don't have confidence in this program hiatus anymore.
So what made them bring it back?
There was a letter writing campaign.
Oh.
They had not initially planned on airing the final 6 episodes. But the letter writing campaign convinced them to bring it in the spring, the pickup area for another 4 episodes, which lasted basically through the month of April of that year, before they pulled it from the schedule again.
We could have been done here, folks. We could have been done here.
Could have been.
But these fucking fanatics, not fans, fanatics, harassed a nice corporate company, held him at hostage to fucking bring this show back. And now I got to watch another 6 episodes of this garbage.
So after those 4 episodes aired, they pulled it again from the schedule for 2 full months.
Oh, wow.
And then aired the last 2 episodes as a Sunday night movie of the week.
Wow.
That was the blow-off.
That's fine, though. It's like, hey, I mean, okay, we'll fill it. We'll fill some holes. Did it always come out on the same night, or did they just put it wherever?
After the first hiatus, they put it back in its original slot on Thursdays opposite Cheers.
And then when they canceled it for another, did they bring it back at that same time again?
No, then it was just a 2-hour block for the Sunday movie.
Oh, Sunday movie. So, like, yeah. Okay, sorry. I missed that part.
Yeah.
Wild. That's wild. Do you think if the writing campaign hadn't gone and they just, like, shelved all that stuff and this thing ended at this episode, do you think the return happens?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, man.
Because
this could have been it. This could have been the
last episode.
And I'm Ian. That's Gabe for Blank as a Fart, the final episode. In another alternate universe.
Another alternate universe. If the show had ended at this point, this podcast would not exist.
Yeah.
This would be a footnote in David Lynch's career.
Yeah, interesting. Wow. You fans, you people out there that care for this shit, good on you for just, like, pulling this fucking train wreck. Like, you literally have people tying ropes to a train that's, like, just derailed, and they're just pulling it. We want to see how it finishes, no matter how awful it is, no matter how much you like it. I mean, I don't think any of you guys really care for it ultimately, and maybe the last episode you're kind of cool with, but you guys are literally pulling this train wreck all in Lynch's name. It's very noble that you guys did that.
It was pretty impressive, yeah.
And because of you, I get to suffer through this podcast with Gabe.
Suffer so much that my camera.
Wyndham Earl gets to feed me gruel as I try not to piss him off so I don't get tased by my shot caller.
Well, hopefully we'll add a little bit of sugar to this gruel every week as we go on now. Because, as we said, this is the lowest episode of the series.
As we're talking Stockholm Syndrome, I'm trying to, like, find ways to, I try and talk positive where I can. I this is my capture. I'm beholden to my master, and as much as I might dislike many aspects, I try to find many positive aspects to the show as well. So. Listen, I'm just talking I haven't seen it the million times that Gabe has. This is my first viewing. I haven't rewatched episodes. I'm just going in fresh. It's just like fucking, it is this, and then, I miss things. It is what it is. But like I said, I'm holding a pretty strong 7 right now. And it's like that, to make another Nine Inch Nails reference, and all the things that could have been, or whatever that song is, it's this series is literally something that, it's too bad that this isn't something that they tried to do now, because, man, what an interesting thing this could have been, really.
Oh,
but
maybe that potential leads somewhere in the return.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But now but the problem with that, Gabe, is that now I'm thinking, like, here's the other thing. You watched Twin Peaks, and then you had this massive break, and then the return happened. I'm going to be seeing them pretty much like season 1, then season 2, and then season 3. So,
far less time to ruminate.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to be thinking about all the content I've already seen, how much of that is going to be at play here. It's and you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to have a lot of I'm going to be seeing it differently than you watching it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course. And that's part of the fun.
Anyway, yeah.
So yeah,
Anywho.
just a couple of segments that a couple more things I'd like to leave us with. I do want to note that while this week's episode is officially the lowest rated on IMDb, the most highly rated is the very last episode.
See, that's wild.
Yeah.
But I get it. A lot of people wanted to tune in and just see how does it go out.
It goes out a lot like it came in. Which, the beginning and the end, that's what people remember. The middle stuff, like this, not so much. I do also want to point out that as of yesterday, it was 7 years ago that the finale of The Return aired.
Wow.
Yeah, that happened. That was on September 3rd of 2017.
You know what's funny about this episode?
What's that?
For an episode that is the worst episode, supposedly. Oh, no, maybe not. We can end it right now and it won't be.
That won't be the longest. That would just prove that we're a hater podcast, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't think we really hated. I don't think we really hated on this episode. I mean, we did hate on it, but I think there was a lot. I think there's a lot of good talk about it. So
there was, and I definitely padded it a lot with our little trivia game at the end. So,
oh yeah, 100%. That is really what took us to a. But that's a fun thing to do. That's kind of fun. I don't know. It's fun to add something different.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really had enough segments like that, or at least enough fun behind-the-scenes stuff. I feel like we're going to get a lot more of that with The Return because there is a lot more BTS material for that. Like full hours worth for every episode. So,
oh my god,
I've never viewed any of that.
Oh, really?
I've had the set for a long time, and I've never watched any of the behind the scenes.
How many times have you watched The Return though? All the way
Only twice.
Only twice, but never watched any of the supplemental. And you're gonna watch all of that in preparation, as we go into this, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have much longer prep days when we get to The Return. I don't know if I'm gonna be watching those episodes twice or not. Because, those are the full hours, too. Like, we don't get 45, 47 minutes. Those are full hours.
That's fine. Yeah.
And there's a lot more detail involved.
Tonight felt like a full hour.
Oh, yeah. Tonight felt like 3. But anyway.
I'm guessing, my hope and I'm guessing is that those full hours, though, the show is more engaging and it goes by a lot quicker. Like, is this a show that, I don't know. Here's a question. I am going to drag this out. Now it looks like we might make it. No. Do you think, knowing me so far in my kind of dealing with this show, when I get to The Return, do you think this is a show that my opinion of it is going to change and I'm going to want to binge it and it's going to be hard for me to have to watch it and stop? Like, when a show's really good, I just want to watch it. Do you think that's going to happen, or do you think I'm still going to have roadblocks where I think maybe it's not?
I think you would be far more likely. I mean, I can't say with certainty because I don't know. I mean, we really do have to think of The Return as just one 18-hour David Lynch movie. So I think you could sit there and watch a 3 or 4 hour block and be okay with it and not feel there's definitely there's stuff edited in to give you little breaks between the episodes, but the pacing of the story itself, it's not edited like that.
Then I have another question for you. If I do feel like I want to binge it, are there issues? Do you want to keep me at an episode, or is it okay if I watch ahead and just make sure I rewatch? Like, if I were to let's say we're doing the first episode and I watch the first episode and I need to watch the second episode. Do you not want me to do that? Do you want me to just make sure I stop at the first episode and only not start bloodying the water if I start getting into it, or should I get into it?
My only concern is that because of how much those scenes are going to bleed into each other.
Well, I'll make sure I only write notes for an episode. I wouldn't write it for.
As long as you keep your notes well delineated, then I'm sure it's fine.
All right. I'm excited.
I've got objection.
I'm just curious, like, or maybe I'll just fucking hate it. No. There's also that.
Nothing you are going to see in The Return is as bad as this week was. I mean, it's more confusing. Okay. I will say that.
Is it a hard watch? Like a difficult, like, you know how like records are a difficult listen, but they're good. Is it a difficult watch? Like
in parts.
Emotionally
difficult, yeah. Okay. And in places where you don't expect it to be too.
All right.
Well, but
let's get through these next 7 episodes.
Not as hard of a watch as Fire Walk with Me is.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
That one's going to be a hard watch.
Nice to tee that one up.
Yeah, we're not too far off, folks. But, that'll probably not be until the new year.
All right, wrap it up, Gabe.
In the meantime, we're going to wrap up summer with the worst episode ever and the longest episode ever. So, it's on the socials by now if you've been tuning in. We're Blank as a Fart on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Fuck Twitter, fuck Twitter, fuck Twitter. We're Blank as a Fart pod at gmail.com. You can catch us on Spotify, Audible, what's the Amazon? iTunes, yeah. iTunes does podcasts now. Uh-huh.
They've always had podcasts. iTunes was the original OG of podcasts. Anyway.
Got you on that one, didn't I?
You also go to youtube.com/milkmanpictures and you can find us our video version of the podcast, which is like generally our most popular, though we've had an uptick in listeners lately. So on Spotify, I don't know what our iTunes count. I should really go log into iTunes and see what we're getting. But
I'm curious about
we probably got about, I'm saying we're pushing like 20, 30 now, It's pretty good. It's healthy-ish.
Yeah.
We got a Twitch follower. If you follow us on, you come hang out with us on Wednesday nights at 8 on twitch.tv/The Couch Co-op Show. You can see us stream our show live, and you can interact with us. Like Nano Witch, but she wasn't here tonight, so we felt missed. We didn't have our third wheel like we had the last two weeks, so hopefully she comes back. But yeah, you can do that, hang out with us, and the show's slowly getting a little.
Like I said, man, we're in the valley right now, but we're starting to make that climb back up.
There you go.
So join us as we head up that hill in the next 7 weeks. While we complete the original series.
Right.
I'm Gabe. That's Ian.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on Blank as a Fart, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Hump day, as they say.
Hump day.
This is a really good song. And we're clear. Oh, what did that come into at the end? Oh, I gotta stop recording.